Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today I'll be looking through the Orruk Warclans Battletome. Alright, Destruction Battletome. What a nice art. Wow, and look at that guy in the back. With every act of violence they commit, the Orcs worship the great god Gorkamorka, the two-headed god of destruction. It was he who slaughtered the mightiest monsters of the realm in the Age of Mist, and it is he who invigorates the Orruk hordes with strength and manic energy through the raw primal power of the Wall. When the Orcs gather in great number, when they raise their voices together in a ground-shaking bellow of battle lust, the pulsing green magic of Gorkamorka turns them from an argumentative rabble into a crashing tide of muscle and armor that sweeps all before it. Wow, look at that. Look how nice that looks. Can you see him? That's a nice paint job too. So here's the story behind the Orruk race and some fantastic artwork. Ooh, versus the Seraphim. The story behind the Iron Jaws and the Bestial Realms. The making of a war clan for Iron Jaws anyway. Some war clans. So fluff. Fluff, spirit of a savage god, horns of the beast, organization of a big rook, bone splitters of the realms, ice bone, legacy of destruction. The story of the Orcs through the years. Gordrak, the first of Gork. On top of his Maw Crusher. The Maw Crusher's name is Big Teeth. Cute. Let's see. The lore behind the Mega Bosses, War Chanters, Weird Knob, and War magic. Let's just read this one. Much like the Orcs themselves, war magic is violent, unpredictable, and very dangerous to everything in its immediate vicinity. Its essence sits outside the typical laws of magic, neither drawn from a particular realm sphere nor corrupted by the touch of dark sorcery. The sorcerer's power of the Orc simply is, as sure as Akshi burns or grots are weedy. The Arcane Scholars, a more enlightened race, have long had difficulty attempting to define where the primal energy that infects a greenskin horde ends, and proper wall of magic begins. In truth, these two concepts are one and the same. The fury that powers an Orc mob in battle is the same power that the weird knob shamans draw upon to work their destructive spells, the savage breath of Gorkamorka channeled through these brutish mystics to be unleashed upon the hapless foe. Yeah. Ironclad hordes, some power of the wand. Prophets. What is this? Squiggly beasts. The great green clans. More boys, big stabbers. Ooh. I'm not certain who I like better. That green one or the red one. Very nice. Ooh, the whitish grayish one looks nice too. all your various orcs and savage ones. Great Green Fury. Just shows you what the different units look like. How to paint some of your orcs. How to paint the Mock Crusher. The red one anyway. Oh, it shows the green scaled one too. Pretty. This section has 3 different sets of allegiance abilities. One for an Ironjaw's army, one for a Bone Splitter's army, and one for a Big Wong army. The rules for using allegiance abilities can be found in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Yes. You must decide which faction your army will belong to when you pick the army. All of the units in an Ironjaw's army must be Ironjaws. All of the units in a Bone Splitter's army must be Bone Splitters, and all of the units in a Big Wa must be Orcs. Okay. So, let's have a look at the Ironjaw's allegiance abilities. If your army is an Ironjaw's army, you can give your army the Bloodtooth's keyword, Choppa's keyword, or Iron Sun's keyword. All Ironjaw's units in your army gain that keyword, and you can use the extra abilities listed for that war clan. And Eager for Battle. Add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Ironjaw's units. Mad as hell. At the end of any phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds have been inflicted in that phase on an Ironjaw's unit that is more than 9 inches from any enemy units, that Ironjaw's unit can move d6. Well, that's pretty cool. At the end of any phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds have been inflicted in that phase on an Ironjaw's 9 inches. Wow, cool. Smashing and Bashing. In the combat phase, after a friendly Ironjaw's unit has fought, if the attacks made by that unit resulted in any enemy units being destroyed, you can pick 1 friendly Ironjaw's unit that has not yet fought in that combat phase and that is within 3 inches of any enemy unit. The unit fights immediately. And before that, the opposing player picks a unit to fight in that combat phase. That unit cannot fight again in that combat phase unless an ability or spell allows it to fight more than once. So, in the combat phase... Okay, so in the combat phase, if one of the Ironjaw units kills an enemy unit, you can pick 1 more to immediately fight again. Neat. Mighty Destroyers. You can use this command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Ironjaw's unit wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Ironjaw's hero, or wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Ironjaw's hero that is a general. That unit must make a normal move if it is more than 12 inches from any enemy units, must fight if it is within 3 inches of any enemy units, and must attempt to charge in any other circumstances. You cannot pick the same unit to benefit from this command ability more than once per hero phase. That's nice. Wow, these guys are speedy. Ironjaw's Wog. You can use this command ability once per battle at the start of the combat phase. If you have an Ironjaw's army and your general is a mega boss and on the battlefield, if you do so, roll a dice and add the number of friendly Ironjaw's units wholly within 18 inches of your general to the roll. If the roll is up to 11, until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapon used by friendly Ironjaw's units wholly within 18 inches of your general. Cool. If the roll is 12 or more, until the end of that turn, add 2 to the attack's characteristic. Nasty. That is the Ironjaws. I think I won't go through all of the command traits and artifacts. But I will go through these Iron Sun's Bloodtooths and the Choppas. Let's see. So you get to choose one of these. So, Iron Sons. If you chose to be an Iron Sons war clan, you gain Iron Sons Cunning. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units that target an Iron Sons unit in the first battle round. Oh, okay. Alright, get 'em. You can use this command ability at the end of the enemy charge phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Iron Sons unit that is within 12 inches of an enemy unit, wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Iron Sons hero, and more than 3 inches from any enemy models. That unit can attempt to charge. You can use this at the end of the enemy charge phase. Well, that's neat. Right Fist of Dakbad. At the start of the first battle round, you receive 1 additional command point. Cool. And of course, an Iron Sons Mega Boss General must have this command trait instead of one listed on page 56. If you choose this, it means you will have that command trait. The other ones you won't get. And the Artifact of Power. The first Iron Sons Mega Boss to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Sun's Blessed Armor. This one, which says, worsen the rend characteristic of attacks that target the bearer by 1 to a minimum of 0. So, that is nice. Powerful. Bloodtooths. Hunt and Crush. Add 1 to run and charge rolls for Bloodtooth units. The charge roll modifier is in addition to the Eager for Battle modifier. Eager for Battle, yes, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Iron Jaws units. Okay, so it says it stacks. Cool, so basically, if you choose this one, you get add 1 to run, and you will get 2 altogether for charge rolls for Bloodtooth units. Break through the line. You can use this command ability at the end of your combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Bloodtooth unit that fought in that combat phase and that is wholly within 24 inches of a friendly Bloodtooth hero. The unit can make a normal move, but cannot run or retreat. You can just run right on through. Yes, that's what it says. The Bloodtooths eagerly smash their way through anybody foolish enough to stand before them, their advance swiftly picking up speed once the enemy have been crushed into the ground. Cool. A Bloodtooth General must have this command trait instead of one listed in page 56. Get da Realmgate. If there are any baleful Realmgate terrain features on the battlefield, when this general uses the Iron Jaws Wog command ability, add 2 to the dice roll that determines the effect of that ability. Well, that's interesting. I guess you bring a baleful Realmgate with you? I'm not that familiar with why there would be a baleful Realmgate on the battlefield. But it says that you can, when you use the Iron Jaws Wa command ability, which was this one, and you get to roll 2 more. Okay, so it brings you closer to adding more attacks when you use that ability, but only if there is a baleful Realmgate terrain feature on the battlefield. Interesting. Okay. Quick Duff Amulet. Once per battle, the bearer can cast the Great Green Hand of Gork spell from the Lore of the Weird. If they do so, that spell is automatically cast. Do not roll 2d6 and cannot be unbound. Cool. Well, I gotta read what that Great Green Hand of Gork is. Probably here. Lore of the Weird, yes. The Great Big Green Hand of Gork. The Great Big Green Hand of Gork has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick 1 friendly Iron Jaws unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster that is visible to them and more than 3 inches from any enemy units. Remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from any enemy units. It may not move in the subsequent movement phase. Cool. Okay. So they have a teleportation spell, or deep strike spell. And this allows them to do it once, no matter what. That's kind of neat. That was the Bloodtooths. The Chappas. Let's see, you can, Vandal Hordes, you can reroll charge rolls for Chappa units that are within 12 inches of a terrain feature that is fully or partially in enemy territory. Neat. Rabble Rouser. You can use this command ability when you use a friendly Chappa's Warchanter's Violent Fury ability. Chappa's Warchanter Violent Fury ability. If you do so, you can pick up to 3 different friendly Chappa Brutes units and or Chappa Artboy units to be affected by this ability instead of 1 friendly Iron Jaws unit. There is Violent Fury. In your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Iron Jaws unit, or 3 Brutes and or Ardboys, wholly within 15 inches of this model until your next hero phase. Add 1 to the damage inflicted by attacks made with melee weapons by that unit. A unit cannot benefit from this ability more than once per phase. Wow, and that's just ability. There it is. Add 1 to the damage. Neat. And this one would be add 3. Well, I definitely want a Warchanter in your Chappas group. Cool. That sounds pretty powerful. A Chappa's general must have this command trait instead of one listed on the other pages. Checked out. Add 2 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Chappa's units while they are wholly within 18 inches of this general. Nice. Artifact of Power. The first Chappa's Weird Knob general to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Mega Skull Staff. Mega Skull Staff. The bearer is treated as having the Mega Boss keyword for the purposes of the Iron Jaws Wall command ability. Neat. And that is Iron Jaws, I guess. We've got a battle plan for them, and now we move on to Bone Splitters. If your army is a Bone Splitters army, you can give your army the Bone Grins, Drakfoot, or Icebone keyword. All the Bone Splitter units in your army gain that keyword, and you can use the extra ability listed for that war clan. Alright, Tireless Trackers. After armies are set up, but before the first battle round begins, half of the Bone Splitter units in a Bone Splitter's army, rounding up, can move up to 5 inches. Wow, these guys are so fast! If both players can move units before the first battle round begins, they must roll off and the winner chooses who moves the units first. Warpaint. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a model with this battle trait. On a 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Cool. Monster Hunters. If a friendly Bone Splitter unit is within 3 inches of an enemy monster when it is chosen to fight, before it piles in, you can pick one of the following abilities to apply to it until the end of that phase. Wild Abandon. That unit can move an extra 3 inches when it piles in. Handy. Stab, stab, stab. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that unit that target a monster. Nice. Because it really would depend on the situation. I assume mostly you'd do stab, stab, stab. Oh, there's one more. Berserk Strength. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by that unit that targets a monster is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Ooh. Mortal wounds are nice too, though. I guess it really would depend. Neat. Spirit of the Beast. Do not take battle shocks for a Bone Splitter's units if any enemy monsters were slain by wounds inflicted by that unit in the same turn. Well, that's really nice. Command ability. Bone Splitter's Wall. You can use this command ability once per battle at the start of the combat phase if you have a Bone Splitter's army and your general is on the battlefield. Okay. If you do so, roll a dice and add the number of friendly Bone Splitter's units wholly within 18 inches of your general to the roll. Okay, quite similar then. And it just says your general, it doesn't specify that it has to be a mega boss like previously. So this one's just your general. If the roll is up to 11 until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly. Okay, so that's the same as previously. If the roll is 12 or more, add 2 to the attack's characteristic. Okay, nice. Extra hits. Several abilities allow Bone Splitter's units to score 2 hits instead of 1 on an unmodified hit roll of 6. If 2 or more such abilities apply at the same time, you score 1 extra hit for each ability. That's nice that it clarifies that right here. For example, if 2 such abilities applied to a unit, it would score 3 hits for each unmodified 6. 1 for the hit, plus 2 for the 2 abilities. Cool. If 3 such abilities applied to a unit, it would score 4 hits for each unmodified 6, and so on. Good. I am not going to do all of those, but we will go and see what these are. Bone Grins. The Bone Grins insist that they are the best beast hunters around, and anyone who disagrees is likely to get an arrow in the gob. The Warclans swamps the battlefield with massive numbers of arrow boys and savage orcs, and relying on sheer weight of numbers to batter their foes into submission. Bring it on! Enemy units within 12 inches of any friendly Bone Grins units at the start of their charge phase must attempt to charge and must make a charge move if it is possible for them to do so. In addition, any enemy unit within 3 inches of a friendly Bone Grins unit cannot retreat. Wow, that could really mess people up. Neat. Feel the Spirit. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Bone Grins unit wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Bone Grins Savage Big Boss. Until the end of that phase, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by that unit is 6, that attack scores 2 hits on this target instead of 1. I do like when they do that. It just makes for lovely amount of hits. Alright, a Bone Grins general must have this command trait instead of one listed on page 67. A right monster. Subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of enemy units once they're within 12 inches of this general. Nice. Artifact of Power. The first Bone Grins Savage Big Boss to receive an Artifact of Power must be given a Maw Crusher Beast Totem. Cool. Maw Crusher Beast Totem once per battle in your shooting phase. The bearer can shoot as if they were armed with an Innard Bursting Bellow from the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher War Scroll. What? Cool. There it is. Innard Bursting Bellow. Maw Crusher War Scroll. So it says 8-inch range, D6 damage, 8-inch range, D6 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 1 damage. Cool. That could be really handy. Alright, and that is Bone Grins. Now, Icebone. Freezing Strike. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by an Icebone unit is 6, improve the rend characteristic of that attack by 1. That is pretty... well, I suppose it is only by unmodified rolls of 6. Wound rolls, that is. Quite nice. Freeze and Run. You can use this command ability at the end of the combat phase. If you do so, pick 1 friendly Icebone Boar Boys unit that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit and wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Icebone hero. That Icebone Boar Boys unit can retreat. In addition, until your next charge phase, subtract 2 from charge rolls for enemy units that are within 3 inches of that Icebone Boar Boys unit before it retreated. It really is freeze and run. Makes it harder for them to follow them. Interesting. Purebred Warboar. And this is the command trait that the Weird Knob General must have instead of any listed on page 67. Add 2 inches to this general's move characteristic. In addition, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by this model's Warboar. Neat. The first Icebone hero to receive an Artifact of Power must be given a Catanak Pelt. Add 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Icebone units while they are wholly within 18 inches of the bearer. Nice. Drakfoot. No war clan channels the weird magic of Gorkamorka with as much potency as the Drakfoot. Neat. Strength of Purpose. The ethereal ability has no effect on attacks made by a Drakfoot unit. Well, that's nasty. I mean, it's very specific for to go against ghosts, but cool. In addition, any ability that negates wounds has no effect on wounds inflicted by a Drakfoot unit. Wow, cool. And that'd be like the Sylvaneth ability. No. Wow, that one could get around Gotrek Gurnison's negating. Well, lots of negating. This really goes against ghosts. Drakfoots. That's neat. And, yeah, anyone else who tries to negate wounds. That's nasty. Maybe Drakfoot orcs can take down Gotrek Gurnison. Alright, command ability. Shout down the magic. You can use this command ability after an enemy wizard casts a spell. If you do so, pick one friendly Drakfoot unit with 10 or more models that is wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Drakfoot Wargog Prophet or Drakfoot Wardock. That unit can attempt to unbind that spell. No other units can attempt to unbind that spell. Add 1 to the unbinding roll if that unit has 20 or more models. I mean, you have it at your disposal, so when it becomes relevant, you have it. Neat. The general of a Drakfoot army does not receive a command trait. Interesting. Instead, all Drakfoot wizards know the Fireball spell instead of the Arcane Bolt spell. Okay. Fireball. Fireball has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one friendly unit within 18 inches of the caster and visible to them. If that unit has 1 model, it suffers 1 mortal wound, just like Arcane Bolt. If it has 2 to 9 models, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Ouch. And if it has 10 or more models, it suffers D6 mortal wounds. Well, that's nice. And all of the wizards have this instead of Arcane Bolt. Cool. Artifact of Power. The first Drakfoot hero to receive an Artifact of Power must be given the Burning Tattoos. When you use the War Paint Battle trait to successfully negate a wound or mortal wound allocated to the bearer, and that one was just roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a model with this battle trait. On a 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. So it says, when that is successfully negated, you can inflict 1 mortal wound on 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of the bearer. Well, that's really neat. That seems pretty nasty. I enjoy the Mist. A battle plan for them. Big Wall allegiance abilities. The Big Wah. When orcs gather together as part of a Big Wah, the power of Gorkamorka builds in them over time, reaching a climax of violent energy that is eventually unleashed with utterly destructive results. The abilities bestowed by the Big Wah are determined with Wah points. You receive Wah points in the following ways. At the start of your hero phase, if your general is on the battlefield. If your general is Gordrak, you receive. Okay, so D6 points at the start of your battlefield, at the start of your hero phase, if your general is on the battlefield. So you definitely probably don't want to forget that. If your general is Gordrak, you receive 6 Wah points instead of D6. That is pretty nasty. I guess you're going to want Gordrak. At the start of your hero phase, for each friendly war chanter that is on the battlefield, you get 2 points. At the start of your hero phase, for each friendly, really friendly. At the start of your hero phase, for each friendly, Wargog, Prophet, and Wardock that is on the battlefield, you get 1 point. In your charge phase, for each friendly Orruk unit with 10 models or more that makes a charge move, you get 1 point. At the start of your combat phase, for each friendly Orc hero within 3 inches of an enemy unit, you get 1 point. At the start of your combat phase, for each friendly Orc unit with 10 models or more that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, you get 1 point. That's a lot to remember. I'd be terrible at that. Hopefully you get accustomed to it. I'd probably set a reminder, like put a bowl or something over my dice so I can't take them until I finish this. Alright, the maximum number of wall points you can have is 30. Once your wall points reaches this total, any further increases are ignored. If your wall points are subsequently reduced to less than 30, you can start collecting wall points once more, and any that are ignored are permanently lost. Okay. The number of wall points your army has determines which of the following wall powers your army receives. Note that the powers are cumulative. You have all of the powers that have a wall power point requirement that is equal to or less than your army's current value. Wow, this is a lot to remember. But cool. I would probably need little key cards. I guess you just keep this open while you're playing. Zogum at 4 points. Once you reach 4 points, which is probably going to be like right off the bat. But anyway, once you reach 4 points, at the end of any phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds have been inflicted in that phase on an Orc unit that is more than 9 inches from any enemy units, that Orc unit can move d6 again. So that's neat. So Iron Jaw's Mad Azel ability is basically you can still have it if you choose to have your Iron Jaws in the big wall allegiance. That is neat. Okay. Zap'em. You can use the wall magic battle trait, see right. If you have a big wall army with at least 6 wall points before making any casting, spelling, or unbinding rolls for a friendly wizard, you can say that they will draw on the power of the wall. If you do so, you can reduce your army's wall points by d3 and add 1 to the casting, dispelling, or unbind roll, or by d6 and add 2 to the casting, dispelling, or unbind roll. You cannot use this battle trait more than once for the same wizard in the same phase. Well, that's neat. Alright, next, once at 8, it's get 'em. Add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Orc units. Cool. 12, laugh at 'em. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Orc model. On a 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. Okay, cool. So there's ways to get all of the Orcs with negating mortal wound. At 16 points, smash 'em. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons used by friendly Orc units. Nice. 20, bash 'em. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons used by friendly Orc units. Cool. And 24, why? Your general can use that Da Big Wah command ability, which is over here. Da Big Wah. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase if you have at least 24 wall points and your general is on the battlefield. If you do so, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Orc units until the end of that phase. You cannot use this command ability more than once per phase. At the end of any phase in which you use this command ability, you must roll a dice. On a 1, reduce the wall points for your army to 0. On a 2 to 5, halve the wall points for your army. On a 6, nothing happens. Neat. Now, the other command ability that you have, that you do not need wall points for are, you can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, choose 1 friendly Orc hero. You receive 1 wall point for every 10 Orc models that are within 12 inches of that Orc hero, or within 18 inches of that Orc hero if they are a general or a war chanter. You cannot use this command ability more than once in the same phase. Wow, many, potentially, are you going to get at the very beginning? So, if your general's Kordrak, you're going to get 6. Have the Zogum and Zap'em powers just right off the bat. If you have a friendly war chanter, you'll get 2. So say we average it out and you don't have Gordrak, and you have 3. I don't know why you wouldn't have Gordrak. I mean, I think having 6 sounds pretty good, and he's named, so I'm assuming he's pretty awesome. How much does Gordrak cost? Gordrak, 540 points. Alright, that would be a reason why you might not have him. Maybe you really wanted to get some other things. I'm very curious as to what he does. Alright, let's just have a look at what he does. Gordrak. So he's got 16 wounds, 3+ save. His move starts at 12. And right, he's the one riding the Maw Crusher, big teeth. And bravery 8. So he's got the missile weapon, 8 inches, 6 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, 1 damage. So that's nice. Definitely nice. He has his melee weapons are Smasher, Cunning, and Mighty Fists and Tail. So the Smasher is 1 inch, all of them are 1 inch range for the melee. 5 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -1, d3 damage each. Nice. And Cunning is 5 attacks, 2+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -1, rend, and 1 damage. And then the Mighty Fist and Tail are 9 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, rend -2, 2 damage each. That is just so nasty. No wonder he's 540 points. Just that is quite nasty at 16 wounds. But what else does he do? Oh, he can fly! Ah, well, of course, he's got a big Maw Crusher, which is definitely a big fat dragon. So he can fly, which is quite something. He's a named character. Okay, massively destructive bulk. After this model makes a charge move, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of this model and roll a number of dice equal to the massively destructive bulk value on this model's damage table, which starts at 9 dice. For each 5+, that enemy unit suffers 1 more wound. And it's, yeah, basically an enemy unit within melee with this guy. 1 inch away. So on a 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. At 5+, yeah, at least 3 times. So 3 mortal wounds, roughly, I guess. In addition, after this model makes a charge move, you can pick 1 terrain feature within 1 inch of this model and roll a number of dice equal to the massively destructive bulk value on this model's damage table. If any of the dice are 6, units no longer receive the cover modifier to their save rolls for being on or within that terrain feature. Neat. If the mortal wounds inflicted by this model massively destructive bulk mean that there are no enemies left within 3 inches of it, then it can attempt to make another charge move after this model makes a charge move. Got it. And can make another massively destructive bulk attack after that move if the charge is successfully carried out. This model can attempt to make any number of charge moves in a single turn so long as each one results in all enemy models within 3 inches being slain. So nasty. Cunning. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by Cunning that targets a wizard is 4+, wound roll 4+, that attack inflicts d3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. Okay. Nasty. Smasher. That's his melee weapon. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by Smasher that targets a hero that is not a wizard is 4+. Okay. That attack inflicts d3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. Neat. Wow, and these are 5 attacks and 5 attacks. What's going to happen? Strength from victory. At the end of the combat phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds inflicted by this model's attack in that combat phase, add 1 to this model's wound characteristic and add 1 to the attack's characteristic. add 1 to this model's wound characters and add 1 to the attacks characters with Smash and Cunning. That's just, there's no end to that. It's just, you slain by him, he gets tougher forever, and he has 1 extra attack forever. Doesn't say there's a limit to it either. Golly. Alright, I would be using him. Alright, let's look at the last one. Voice of Gork. You can use his command ability at the start of the combat phase. Is he a... He is a Orc, Maw Crusher, Iron Jaws, Monster, Hero, Mega Boss, Gordrak. Yeah. Anyway, you can use his command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick up to 3 friendly destruction units wholly within 24 inches of this model. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. 24 inches. That's pretty good. Pick up to 3. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. A unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per phase, and a unit cannot benefit from this ability and the Go on the Lads Get Stuck In ability in the same phase. I said, wow. Okay, so for 500 points, I would be using him. Now, the point of that was to check to see how many, realistically, how many WoG points you would have. So, if you're using Gordrak, which I would be using him, it just seems so much fun, and look, the model looks fantastic, so I love him. Alright, so you get 6 WoG points initially. If you have a War Chanter, you get 2 more. If you have a Wargog, Prophet, and War Duck, for each one you get 1, and for each one you get 2. And your charge phase for each friendly Orc unit with 10 or more models that make a charge move, which I assume you would be doing. So you get 6, 7 probably for each one, so say, you know, just 8 for sure. So you definitely get 8. Give or take. Other big WoG allegiance abilities. Command traits. If your army has an Iron Jaws general, you can give them a command trait from the Iron Jaws command trait tables. Nice. If your army has a Bone Splitters general, you can give them a command trait from the Bone Splitters command traits table. Cool. Artifacts of power. 1 hero is in a big WoG army can have an artifact of power. If you may choose 1 additional hero to have an artifact of power for each War Scroll battalion you included in your army, as normal. An artifact of power taken for a Iron Jaws hero must come from the Iron Jaws artifacts of power. An artifact of power taken for a Bone Splitters hero must come from the Bone Splitters artifact of power. That's page 57, page 68. Mount traits. 1 Iron Jaws hero is a big WoG army can have an Iron Jaws mount. You may choose 1 additional Iron Jaws hero to have a mount trait for each War Scroll battalion you include in your... Oh, sorry. Not an Iron Jaws mount, but an Iron Jaws mount trait. You may choose 1 additional Iron Jaws hero to have a mount trait for each War Scroll battalion you include in your army. Nice. War Chanter Warbeats. 1 Iron Jaws War Chanter in a big WoG army can have a War Chanter Warbeat, and get another one if you have a War Scroll battalion. For each War Scroll battalion. Spell lores. Each Iron Jaws wizard in a big WoG army knows 1 spell from the Iron Jaws spell lord, and I assume, yes, each Bone Splitters wizards know 1 from the Bone Splitters spell lore. So that's good. Path to Glory. Just how to play a Path to Glory game, some fun stuff, rewards about that, some rewards, War Scrolls, a Brawl of War Scroll Battalion, 1 Orc Megaboss, 1 Orc War Chanter, 1 Orc Weird Knob Shaman, and 3 to 5 Brute Fist, Gore Fist, Art Fist, Weird Fist, or Arm Fist War Scroll Battalions in any combination. Oh, this one's the big War Scroll. Okay. So here are the various War Scroll Battalions. Ardfist, 1 Orruk Warchanter, 3 to 5 Orruk Ardboy units. Brute Fist, 3 to 5 Orc Brute units. Pick 1 Brute boss from a unit in this battalion to be the battalion's big boss. This model has a wounds characteristic of 5 instead of 3, neat. 3 to 5 Orc Gore Grunted units. Pick 1 Gore Grunt boss from a unit in this battalion to be the battalion's big boss. That model has a wounds characteristic of 7 instead of 5, neat. 3 to 5 Orc Brutes, Orc, Gore Gruntas, or Orc Ardboys units in any combination. Pick 1 Brute boss or Gore Grunta boss from a unit in this battalion to be the battalion's big boss. Add 2 to the model's wound characteristic. And 1 Orc Weird Knob Shaman, 3 to 5 Orc Brutes or Orc Ardboy units in any combination. That is what you would need to create the battalions, but I don't just go over that. Another big battalion and some more small battalions. 1 Savage Big Boss, 2 to 5 Savage Orcs or Savage Boar Boys units in any combination, 2 to 5 War Dogs, 2 to 5 Savage Orc Moorboy units, 1 Savage Big Boss, 2 to 5 Savage Orc or Savage Orc Arrow Boys, 1 Maniac Weird Knob, 2 to 5 Savage Boar Boy Maniac units, 1 Savage Big Boss, and 2 to 5 Savage Big Stabbat units. And here we have the different war scrolls. Besides Gore Track, I won't be going over the war scrolls, as you can find them readily online. Now, the pitched battle profiles. Savage Orcs. Your minimum is 10, your max is 30, 120 to 300 battle line. The Maniac Weird Knob is 120 points, the Orc Mega Boss is 150 points, the Orc Warchanter is 110 points, the Orc Weird Knob Shaman is 110 points, Savage Big Boss is 100 points, Wardock is 80 points, Wargog Prophets is 160 points, Gordrak, as we learned, was 540 points, Mega Boss on Maw Crusher is 460 points, Iron Skull's boys are, you get a 4, must come in groups of 4 at 80 points. Oh, they're unique. Orc Ardboys, 5 minimum, maximum is 30 in a unit, and they are 90 points per 5. Orc Brutes, 5 to a maximum of 20 in a unit, 140 points per 5. Orc Gore Grunters, 3 to a maximum of 12 in a unit at 160 points per 3. Savage Big Stabbers, 2 minimum to a maximum of 8 in a unit, 100 points each per 2. Savage Boar Boy Maniacs, 5 in a unit to a maximum of 20 in a unit at 140 points per 5. Savage Boar Boys, 5 in a unit up to 20 in a unit with 130 points per 5. Savage Orc Arrow Boys, 10 in a unit to 30 in a unit at 120 points per 10. And Savage Orc Moor Boys, 10 a unit up to 30 in a unit with 120 points per 10. And the various points for the different war scrolls goes from the cheapest of 80 to the most expensive at 160. Oh! And the allies are very... I guess they really only like orcs, don't they? Big Wah can have Gloom Spike Gits. Bone Splitters can be allied with Iron Jaws and Gloom Spike Gits, and Iron Jaws can be allied with Bone Splitters and Gloom Spiked Gits. Cute. And that is our Orruk Warclans Battletome. Well, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed going through all of these battle tomes, and the orcs have so much flavor that it's always nice to I enjoy the names, their accents, and how they just go right on in there and destroy things. And I really enjoy the look of that that Maw Crusher. And oh my goodness, that 540 points Orc on Maw Crusher. Hero, he is a beast. You can see why you would want to use him. If I were creating an army, that is definitely who I would be going for. And they look like a blast to play with and a blast to paint. If there are any Orc players out there, what are you playing? Are you playing Iron Jaws or Bone Splitters or the Big Wa Arms? What of the sub-faction are you playing? Why did you choose it? I am interested about what you think about this new Battletome, so feel free to message us in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. If you'd like to see more Warhammer Age of Sigmar and other wargaming material on our channel. And hit that bell notification if you would like to be notified as soon as we put out our next video. Thanks for watching, bye!